Welcome, bienvenue, and welcome back to Opus Magnum with Lyte. Today, we're going to look at invisible ink. Somehow. It's invisible. How are we going to see it? Who cares? Let's just take a look at how we construct it. And as always, we're going to save the cyclage for the end. We're going to start here with the first attempt at making something relatively small and relatively cheap. So, some of the key concepts of this one: overlapping your exits such that you have a nice space to build on, and building on top of your exits such that you don't waste space. That saves you a lot, because building on top of those saves you quite a bit. If you're able to build on top of the life and death machine, that can also help a bit, because there's a decent amount of space there for you to work with. The big trouble in this is, well, at least for this example, using up hexes that don't do anything else. That's never a good sign. You should avoid it whenever possible. And so in this case, with 2 hexes that are empty, you can expect to be able to do 19 or better. Since we use 3 tracks, you might even be able to expect an area of 18 out of this one. I wasn't able to get 18, but it kind of feels like you might be able to do it. I just haven't seen it myself. Like, I can't see the way to get to 18. 19's fine. 18, not so much. And when trying to make something cheaply, if you're using a piston, probably doing it wrong. And so here we are with our cheaper solution. Good friend Rover. Looks like a rover that you'd send to Mars. We've got ourselves a solid arm and some tracks. Now, we always use more track when we convert from a piston to a solid arm. That's just part and parcel to the whole... No, not Genie gig. It's part and parcel to switching from a piston to a solid arm. You need to add 1 track in general to make it work. And so here we've got our 4-track, our solid arm. And why do we have 4 track? Well, because there are 4 places on this life and death glyph that you need to be able to reach with an arm. If you're going to reach it by twisting, your arm has to be length 1, and then you have to go all the way around, and it's just no good. So with length 2 or 3, all you need is a size 4, the same shape as the thing itself. You can grab all the spaces. Everything else is just a matter of writing the instructions and making sure nothing collides. And so you've got an okay solution. It's as cheap as I'm able to get it. The area is pretty bad, though, because anytime you do this sort of thing, you're swinging things everywhere. Just no good. But nice and cheap. So, what do you do when you want to make it small? Well, you try to build as much as possible over the exits and over the glyphs. And here's a first attempt at making it really nice and small. So, we've got the salt and the glyph over here, for the sake of producing these and keeping them out of the way such that you don't collide with them on creating anything else. Now, we're still, unfortunately, using 2 empty hexes, but we did reduce the length of the track by 1. So by changing around the layout a bit, we were able to save 1 hex worth of area, which is an improvement. It's not a huge improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. And my biggest concern with this one is when twisting it around, you end up putting it over places that are barely being used. And if we were able to move, say, this glyph over here, maybe you could get a bit of savings. Shave off that 1 last area, maybe 2 last area, we'll see. But as you can see, it makes the thing, uses a little extra space. Let's move on to our slightly smaller and significantly slower solution. And so here we are, we moved our glyph on top of that previous gem that we had, such that the swinging that hits these 2 no longer does. But unfortunately, in making that happen, I had to add back in the 3rd piece of track. If somehow you can find a place to put the 2-track and the water, such that you can reach all of this, and you can reach all of that, then you've got yourself an 18-area solution. How we get that done? That's a bit of a mystery. We might try a little something real quick. Because most likely, you'd end up having to put them over here. Where you'd have 2 tracks here, and maybe the water there? And so you'd build the things, push them around, and push them down. Maybe it would work. Maybe it wouldn't. So we look at this, watch this for a little bit, just to see the gist of how we build it here, such that when we try a modified solution, we'll actually be able to get it done. So let's take a look. Hope for Area 18. We might have to give up part of the way in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to make a copy. Then we're going to delete all of the instructions because there's no way our current instruction set is going to come anywhere close to making a solution when we move the track in the inputs. Okay, so the idea is maybe this here, and this here. So step 1, we need to make the life and death. So we grab left, left, push, push, pull, and plus, and reset. So that should put it here. Brilliant. Then we grab the next one, grab left, left, push, push, pull, pull, drop. Wait, just one pull. Wait a minute, we put the salt on the wrong thing. So we grab these, move them over, we pull it twice, and there we are. So now we have life and death, but they're potentially in the way. So we're gonna pull, grab, plus, and drop the death. Actually, no, let's just work with the death first. So what are we gonna do with the death? So instead of grabbing it there, we're gonna move up here facing this way, grab it, push it, and drop it. Then we're going to grab ourselves a water and put it in place. Okay, so the question becomes, do we build the salt end or the water end? Given my experience, I think we want to build the salt end first. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it, we're gonna shift up, we're gonna rotate it 1, push it out, and drop it. Okay, so this is gonna make the salt end. So we grab left, so it's now attached. We're gonna drop it, go up, push out, grab, and then rotate twice. So that'll put it right about here. Let's make sure that's actually where it goes. Okay, and now we're gonna push it over. Oh, now we're gonna run into the problem. Because if we push it over and build it here, we're not gonna be able to get it into the exit properly. Because we don't have an angle to push it down in this direction. So that begs the question, is there anything we can do about that? Do we have a way of moving it in this direction from here? Or moving it in this direction and then over? Because if we have it here and we push it out, we'll use up an empty hex. Which is just no good. Can't be using empty hexes. If we try to move the salter, then it'll use the empty hex there. And so these are the problems you run into. Can we find some way to make this work? Sometimes the answer is no. But sometimes I think the answer is you grab it here and then you shift to the minus. I think that'll work. Okay, so we've rotated it into something resembling a position. So we need to drop it. And then we rotate to the left, we move to the minus, we grab it and we push it and we reset. So that should put it here. Brilliant. Then we grab, rotate, and drop. Then we move to the plus, we extend, we grab, and we move to the minus, and we have the wrong one. So we need to push it one more time. Because we have the death, not the life. Ooh, wait a minute. What? Wrong key press there. And there we are. And now we do the same thing, just without the last... Well, first we grab the life. So we're here. So we pull, rotate, plus, grab, rotate to the right, reset. Okay. And so then we grab everything after... Okay, so we need to initially set up that, and then it's from this point onward that we copy. Up to here. So we grab that, we shift it along, and drop. And then we reset, and everything should be fine. And there we are. 18 area instead of the 19 we started with. Sometimes you just need another look, and the solution reveals itself. So I like doing these things on camera for this, because then you get to see my process, and I didn't actually know whether or not we could get to 18 area. I just had faith from having looked at the problem and having worked on it previously. Sometimes subconscious just needs a little time to chug along. And so we've got ourselves 18 area and a little bit of how to think about getting to that point. Solving little problems, taking long looks. How do you get where you need to go? Now, the only way to make it even smaller than that is to somehow do it without 2 tracks. And you're just not going to, because there's no one thing that can reach all 4 of these locations. So 18, you're not doing better than 18. So we need a new name for this one, because this is no longer a block. And so you look at it and you go, what does that even look like? Kind of looks like the beach to me, with the sand, and then this is either a building or some water. Yeah, let's recall it, rename it the shore. And so now that we have a really small solution, we've got ourselves a really cheap solution, let's look at some quick solutions. So here we are with the cyclone. Oh, doesn't it look lovely? Sounds pretty good too. And so the beauty of this puzzle is that you've got 2 nearly identical solutions, or products, let's say. And so you can make a beautifully symmetrical, radially symmetrical device to get the job done, because this glyph that makes the life and death puts one on each side for you. It's really nice and convenient. Very nice of you, game. And so you can just pull it out, attach it to the various things, chuk chuk chuk, and you're done. So let's take a slow look at what goes on. So we take the first one, we move it towards life and death, because this takes a long time to complete. Then you take another one, and you send it towards making the product. But notice that I took a water from here, and I'm using it up here. Crossing over is sometimes your friend. In this case, crossing over gets me the tail end, because it's difficult to get from here to the other side of the glyph. And so you don't. You cheat and grab something from the other side and bring it up. Then we grab them and salt them. Using the same salter as with the glyph, it's out of the way. It's going to be a problem trying to get that done. There's just no good path from here to up here. So we use another one. And then, now that we've grabbed... Let me show you where we grabbed that. We grabbed our life and our death along this track. We can shift it up and get it attached. Then we're going to have this guy here get attached. And then it's going to rotate again to attach to the other half. And then this is already grabbing it, so it just walks it on in. And so, divide and conquer. It's a lovely approach to solving any sort of algorithm. By doing it half at a time, you can then join it at the middle and dump it in the bin. And so you look at this and go, 51 cycles. That's pretty good. But then you take a look at it and go, okay, so we got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then this one, you look at the last thing you produce. Grab 1, 2, 3. It's pretty good, except for the fact that you've got 2 bonds that are angled. 2 angled bonds are not 2 bonds that need to be separate. And so that's where Gemini comes in. You don't want 2 bonds that are separate when you can do both at the same time. So once again, we salt and create the life and death. We drag from the other side. We create the salt. And then, now that everything is in position, we drag this right onto the binder. 1, 2. The end. Not doing better than 1, 2, and drop. Because you have to pull it off, you have to do something to it, and you have to dump it. So that top percentile of 50 that's good. 80 is better than the top of 85, and 18 is better than the top of 20. And so this Gemini solution, which is a variant of the previous one, is as good as I'm going to do, and I'm fairly convinced as good as any of you are going to do as well. But this one, there are probably a lot of ways you can get this one done. So if you've got a really interesting way of getting this one done, I'd love to see it over on Discord or Twitter or down in the comments section. If you don't know how to get to Discord, there's a link down in the doobly-doo as well. But that's all I've got for Invisible Ink, so I will see you in the next episode of Opus Magnum with Lyte.